In an era when cyber threats are expanding at an unprecedented pace, the question on every business leader's mind is, how do we stay ahead of their tactics? Traditional security measures, once the bedrock of enterprise defenses, are really struggling to keep pace with these sophisticated, rapidly morphing attacks, leaving essential services and sensitive data at risk. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and today we're joined by Mike Denning, Chief Product Officer at Trinity Cyber. Mike brings a wealth of experience and perspective on cybersecurity to the conversation today, having worked as a practitioner, then at several cybersecurity startups, and more recently in the venture capital community. Mike, so glad to have you. Welcome to the program.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Mike, let's get started. IT and cybersecurity leaders are, they're acutely aware of the escalating cyber threats, and obviously they've been taking steps to strengthen their defenses. Yet, despite all of their investments, I think you'd agree, threat actors are still finding ways to penetrate their defenses, right? So, from your perspective, what's the core challenge that they're facing with this onslaught of attacks?
Thanks, Wyatt. I really think it falls into two categories. One is just the sheer volume of the attacks. We're seeing more and more attacks, more attack vectors. But secondly, how quickly they are to morph, change, and hide their identity. So a lot of the bad actors are investing a lot of time and effort in making and the evasion of kind of what they know are well-established security measures. And so what we've seen, and this has held pretty consistently over the last 3 or 4 years, is that organizations will hire penetration testers, as they're called. 90% of the time, they're successful. And that's held pretty consistently, despite what I think are a lot of investments in there. Um, Real quick example, one that's hitting the headlines recently is called ClickFix. And really, it's a combination of hacking and social engineering where they actually play on people's desire to fix a problem. They're prompted to paste a code. And a lot of times people, oh, I don't want to bother IT. I don't want to bother my support. And they actively do what's being requested. And that's where kind of users are incorporated unsuspectingly, unwillingly into some of these breaches. They're incredibly powerful. The second I'll point out is a little around how quickly the adaptation is. Research from Gartner suggests that over 70% of cyber attacks by 2027 will incorporate some form of AI. And I think a lot of what the AI is being used to do is do these slight tweaks to help them evade our established network perimeter and authentication methodologies for avoiding that.
And I think you kind of alluded to, traditional tools just aren't keeping pace. Why would you say that the established security investments are often failing or falling short in today's environment?
Well, fundamentally is over the last 20 years, network security hasn't changed. It's really, find a problem, block a problem. And essentially it has the security departments playing whack-a-mole. They have to identify a threat, create some kind of signature, or what's commonly known to as an indicator of compromise. And then it's applied to a variety of different tools on the network, on web application firewalls, on intrusion prevention technologies. And really, what we're seeing is that despite significant year-over-year increases in security spend, the efficacy of those hackers has really not moved, and that's really a challenge.
As I understand it, Trinity Cyber kind of proposes a different way of thinking about this. I'm curious, can you explain at kind of a high level how your approach differs from these traditional methods?
Well, it's really interesting for me. I actually only recently joined the company in the last several months, and I had been looking at, as you pointed out, across a significant number of early stage startups trying to be, very disruptive. And what I found is that Trinity's technology, it's called full content inspection, was a significantly different approach to cybersecurity. It takes the problem and actually turns it on its head. And while traditional approaches I talked to earlier about blocking or filtering based on signatures or known indicators of compromise, full content inspection actually edits live traffic. And I just want to say that again because it is just so revolutionary. And I was introduced in the company. The first thing I said to the founder was, "I don't think you can do that." And and what it does is it actively removes and neutralizes specific threats before it can execute. And so it's not about blocking traffic, it's about the precision removal and of the malicious code. And it's that focus on the tactics, techniques, and procedures that really funneled down the focus area and has made it just so that much more effective.
Sounds very powerful and really very interesting. Can you share any real world examples of how this approach has made a tangible difference or starting to make a tangible difference to some of your clients, perhaps during a major incident?
Yeah, the best example, and we have a great video on our website about this, is about Log4j. So if I say Log4j to most security professionals, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. In my mind, I know exactly where I was when I heard about Log4j and kind of the panic on my security practitioners' minds and faces when they told me about how prevalent this was. It's a Apache Java a breach. It estimates around affected around 3 billion servers back in November 2021, and it is massive and it requires urgent patching for many organizations. For Trinity, when we got this alert, our threat hunting team was able to develop a countermeasure that was looking for, because of the nature of what we're doing, we're actually looking and inspecting real-time traffic. So as we're inspecting that real-time traffic, we found the commonality, the thing, the string, and it's only 4 letters that we were keyed on. We are able to look, inspect that traffic, and remove it. But here's the real benefit. Because of the nature of how we're delivering that technology in the cloud, in real time, across all of our servers and multiple points of presence, our customers were protected within 4 hours. So it was really a win, and people started to understand the benefits of full content inspection and how it provided that protective shield that provided the time for the rest of the organization to do the IT organization to do the patching that was required and a little less panicked approach.
That's really impressive. I appreciate your sharing that story.
Mhm.
Taking the conversation up just a little bit, beyond kind of stopping attacks, what are the sort of operational benefits for organizations, for instance, in terms of improving the user experience or the burden on IT and security teams with a product like yours?
Yeah, I think IT and any organization is kind of a team sport. It's not only up to the security folks to keep a organization safe, and the approach of actually precisely removing threats has not only benefits to security by kind of reducing that read and react to kind of alerts. Let me just say the full first benefit is primarily to the security professionals because they're chasing down a lot less false positives, right? Our false positive rate on full content inspection is less than 0.1%. That's a tiny fraction of what a lot of traditional indicators of compromise. They are alerting and it becomes almost overwhelming. And like anything, if you get that volume, you almost start to go numb to it once you realize, oh, I should just ignore that, and you can continue to tune the system and get that down. But the other thing is that it really starts to hone in on the IT departments because you think of post breach, what happens, right? You have to re-image servers. It takes productivity away from the workers that were affected. Maybe you have some data loss and you have to do customer notifications. Maybe some IP loss. Maybe there's a financial risk. Maybe you need to get the legal department involved. And we all know how enjoyable that is of an interaction. So I think really you start to look at the broad-based effects of a better threat detection, threat prevention. This is real prevention, not just alerting and reacting reactively. This is proactive.
That's also very impressive. Lastly, Mike, just kind of looking ahead, how does this kind of proactive content level approach also help, let's say, future-proof cybersecurity for commercial enterprises, especially those that are facing persistent threats?
Yeah, I think, when we think about what everybody's going after is kind of cyber resilience, right? And by this proactive approach, as I kind of highlighted there, it's much more durable, much more long-term sustainable. It helps really focus your resources in the organization to the things that they need to do the most. But I also think the benefit is the nature of a cloud delivered, network delivered solution is it's centrally managed and it benefits from the collective and it benefits from customers immediately getting the countermeasures applied. And that's why kind of the Log4j example is just so powerful. Let me give you another quick example that some of the headlines. One of our customers was we discovered it's a website, legitimate website, right? And customers logging in, and they were infected with a payment skimmer called MageCart. And what they would have stolen the user's information, but with full content inspection, we actually remove the attack inline. But here's what's dramatically different than kind of other cyber organizations. They were able to continue their purchase for their flowers for Mother's Day without interruption, and the threat was neutralized. So it's a user experience that's very positive. It's completely transparent. What we're very effective at doing is then sharing what we did on your behalf. So through our portal, we're able to show your user attempted to go to the website. They didn't notice a difference. We extracted and removed the malicious code in line, in real time, with milliseconds of delay. The user was able to buy flowers for mom. We were able to make sure that the payment card skimmer was not effective.
That's a very powerful example. Well, I really appreciate your taking the time, Mike, to kind of explain how your approach is in fact different than what I think many organizations typically are using, but more fundamentally, how it also helps improve the user experience as well as the workloads for IT and security departments. So really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Thank you so much.
Really great. Thanks for having me, Wyatt.